Hola, 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 mi gente. Welcome to Daily Invocation Souls Enterprise, the #1 source of inspiration and information for your healing, attainment, and liberation.
Yesterday we were talking about some symptoms of trauma, and today we'll dive into a specific deep component of that. We get a nice deep dive in today, so let's take a moment and invoke some of the possibilities of resolution for trauma as we bring in awareness to some of these shadow parts. Let's invoke the light. And the nurturing. And just like the nature here, which includes chainsaws, we can invoke some of the trimming of some of the parts. Trauma, just one part that we can trim and come to this stillness.
I am on a tea fast and I am feeling pretty low energy today. So I'm here, I'm with you, I'm holding sacred space, and my beloved Prasad will do most of the talking.
Yesterday, we did a nice deep dive into trauma symptoms and effects. One thing we mentioned was the relationship trauma can have on relationships. And there's one specific, precise, beautiful term that has helped Karuna Dare and I a lot, and we love sharing with people in the Transcendation coaching. That is looking at and working on trauma bonding. So let's start off at the high spiritual, super meta level, metaphysical, and talk about frequency. We all have a frequency, or I like the word vibration. We want to be complex, vibratory frequency, or frequency of vibration.
And one of the easiest ways to think about this is the ever popular study by the scientist, Japanese scientist, Dr. Emoto. This became very popular through What the Bleep Do we know, and The Secret. And if you recall, that was the scientist who labeled water and then looked under a microscope and saw the way that the molecules formed. And when he said something like love, when he put the label of love, it was just the most beautiful sacred geometry you could imagine, snowflake like, just amazing. And when on the other end he put words like hate on these water receptacles, then you would get just things were all screwed up. It was nothing like the other ones. And so the theory is that our bodies are made mostly of water. And that's where a lot of the basis for affirmations and such come off of, they stem out of. So back to the frequencies.
Yeah. So it's a great transition because I love to state and proclaim there's science behind this. Good, hard, beautiful science that we're all vibrating. The easy proof is just join me in 10 seconds of a big, huge smile and think joy and breathe joy and feel joy, right? You can probably pretty much every single one of you can feel that vibration of joy. Acting as if, right? Act as if, they say. Fake it till you make it. Ah, joy. And should have done joy second. Let's do for 5 seconds worry. We can frown our face and put a brow and say, oh, worry. I'm worried. I feel worry. Okay, that's enough because I felt that vibration right away. Point is, vibration is real. Okay? And it's an important thing to look at as we work on trauma healing or surrender to trauma healing. And we're just talking about, we love the word resolution. Trauma resolution. Anyways, so if we can sense into that vibration, what are we, scientists also say a bunch of molecules and atoms vibrating. So of course it makes sense that we have imprints and patterns. Growing up, circumstances, experiences, conditionings, schoolings. Unfortunately, for all of us, to some degree or another, in some way or another, there's some trauma in here. So there are trauma imprints, okay, vibrational patterns of trauma. So, what happens then in the relationships we were talking about yesterday and the relating? There can be trauma bonding. Well, not can be, there is trauma bonding. When you go into a room and you're instantly attracted to someone, I'm not even talking romantically, just, oh, they look cool, I want to talk to them. Or you're kind of repulsed by someone, I don't want to talk to them, I'm going to stay away from them during this party. That's part of the vibration. And as we get more intimate into our intimate relationships, our deepest friendships, our romantic relationships especially, the trauma bonding is how we vibrate together. And then in the relating and communication and issues that pop up, the triggering that can happen, on the deeper level, there can be this trauma bonding gluing us together.
I think it's important to note, because we do work with spiritual abuse survivors and all the manipulation that goes with that, you could have a trauma bond with your spiritual teacher and within the spiritual community. So I just wanted to mention, because trauma bonding is usually used, like you just said, for romantic relationships. But we mentioned in this series the fawn, right? Flight, freeze, fight, and fawn, which is kind of falling in love with and constantly looking for a mother or father figure.
Yeah, very important point. So if we look at trauma bonding as like a glue, right, in whatever way, community-wise, teacher-wise, authority-wise, boss-wise, there's all sorts of ways to get triggered and have issues, and just where we end up. So what is like the density of glue, and how can we shift and arrange, rearrange, change our vibrations?
So what does trauma bonding look like in a brief? For those that
Yeah.
don't, maybe this is new to you.
So in a brief way, the question: why do I keep always ending up in the same patterns with the same person, you know? Or
Why do I attract,
why do I
right, this
attract?
kind of
Yes,
guy or girl, or
repeatedly.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
why do I keep getting hurt by
Yep.
spiritual teachers? Or,
Or something feels weird and off in this community. I can't quite pinpoint it. There's a lot of great things, but something's not right and a little bit off. What is that? Could be some trauma bonding,
and
communally.
oftentimes in relationships, it also shows up as patterns that we lived. So if we just take the simple example of mother father figures, if either or both were neglectful or abusive in any way, you might often end up, and this is how generational trauma occurs, dating or marrying or lifelong partnership with someone who also has some of those characteristics, and it becomes very triggering.
Or like you said, circumstances. So you get into a job or career that's, trauma based too. There's many ways that the trauma bonding glue can drag us down or just stick us, can get sticky. So, want to mention the resolution that's coming up at
So,
Souls Enterprise?
well, yeah, so part of the resolution, and what led us to create a group component to Trauma to Try of immersion is the mirroring. And I said, oh, I wore the perfect blouse for this today. My blouse is mirror. Um, the mirroring, but also being in a supportive environment where this could be dealt with appropriately. So, what we're saying is the patterns will show up, and in an immersive process and experience such as Trauma to Triumph,
With a group.
the sacredness of the container, the ability to be with facilitators that have seen this over and over again and helped people work through it, is the magic, or can be one of the most potent things of the program. Because if you get triggered, we actually, in a way, we want that, right? Because then we can hone in on where the trauma bonding, where some of the effects or symptoms, all the things we're talking about this week, how and when they show up, and how to reverse, dissolve, transcend, etc. So the waitlist is in the link if you're interested.
So, full circle from where we started, changing your vibration. And like Krinadar was saying, such a powerful, altering way to do it. Being with a group, making a 90-day commitment to, resolving the trauma once and for all, going even further into it, literally rearranging the bonds, the glue, all the stuff with ourselves and others. And tomorrow we'll also talk about trauma resolution, some other techniques. So we hope to see you tomorrow too. Much love.